Hey everybody, I'm Megan Hatcher-Mays, Director of Democracy Policy at Indivisible and the host of Impeachment Daily, the Thor of daily impeachment recap programs, which is a metaphor that only works if you agree with me that Thor is the funniest and best Avenger. Impeachment Daily exists to demystify the impeachment process and let you know how you can stay involved in this fight. You already know there's only one thing going on in impeachment world today, and that is public hearings, of course. So let's get right into it with our first segment, which is called What Just Happened, where we recap what we know. What just happened and what is happening are these public hearings. In fact, they just finished, and I, of course, sprinted into the impeachment cave, just like this. This is how I sprint, to update you all on what all happened today on the Hill. So today, 2 people testified, but the first guy is a guy named George Kent, who is a senior State Department official in charge of Ukraine and who wore a pretty good bow tie today, if I do say so myself. His testimony was pretty incredible, I thought. He said he was so disturbed by Trump's actions, what Kent called attempts to pursue politically motivated prosecutions, that he wrote a whole memo about it and shared it with his boss. This happened months before the whistleblower filed their report regarding that phone call between Trump and the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Kent, in his memo, was really worried about Trump's behavior because this is the sort of thing he typically sees play out in totalitarian governments that the United States has deemed corrupt. And of course, it undermines our position when we're dealing with corrupt totalitarian countries who do things like selectively prosecute their political enemies. So George Kent testified today, in probably the understatement of life, that it makes it more difficult for the United States to make the case to foreign governments not to engage in politically motivated prosecutions if our own president is engaging in politically motivated prosecutions. George, I have to agree, that does seem bad indeed. Meanwhile, Ambassador Bill Taylor also testified. You know him. He is the acting ambassador to Ukraine at the moment. We already knew that he had testified in closed-door depositions that he was pretty horrified about Rudy Giuliani's shadow diplomacy campaign in Ukraine, where Giuliani was operating outside of official United States diplomatic channels, apparently at the urging of Trump. Today, Taylor talked about that again, and so did George Kent, actually. They both testified that Giuliani very obviously was up to no good. So Congresswoman Val Demings, a Democrat from Florida, asked these questions of Bill Taylor and George Kent. Was Rudy Giuliani promoting U.S. interests in Ukraine? George Kent responded, no, he was not. Val Demings asked, what interests was he promoting? And Kent responded, I believe he was looking to dig up political dirt against a potential rival in the next election cycle. And then Bill Taylor chimed in with, I agree. So we're on the record that President Crimes, Donald Trump, and his crime lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, were doing Ukraine crimes. But Bill Taylor also provided some new testimony today about a phone call that Gordon Sondland had with Trump. Now remember, Gordon Sondland is the know-nothing ambassador to the European Union who apparently scored his job by donating $1 million to Trump. He is now known as the guy who is trying to help Trump cover up his myriad crimes. Well, today, Bill Taylor testified that the day after Trump's phone call with Zelensky, where Trump asked Zelensky, do me a favor though, one of Bill Taylor's staffers was at a restaurant with Sondland when Sondland decided to make a call to Trump. And apparently Trump was talking loud enough for the staffer to hear what he was saying, which is actually kind of funny to me. Please, if you're thinking of doing some crimes, consider talking about them in an inside voice. Anyway, Trump was overheard talking to Sondland about the investigations that he had requested. Those would be the investigations into the Bidens. Now, after Sondland got off the call, the staffer asked him what Trump thought of the situation in Ukraine. And according to Taylor's testimony, Sondland responded with, President Trump cares more about the investigation of Joe Biden, which Giuliani was pressing for. I hate it. Of course, in response, the Republicans flailed around a lot and tried to act like, oh, hey, Trump denied that he had tried to bribe Ukraine. So that must mean he never tried to bribe Ukraine. That's how that works, right? I mean, never mind the fact that Trump has admitted repeatedly to having tried to bribe Ukraine multiple times on camera. Don't worry about that part. Jim Jordan got his time to shine today too, although I'm sad to say he hardly rolled up his sleeves at all. He did complain a lot about that whistleblower, though, the person who filed that original complaint about the phone call between Trump and Zelensky. That person has not been brought in to testify in front of Congress. And I actually want to talk about that briefly. So Republicans are clamoring to hear from this whistleblower, but it's really just a huge distraction. It's all for show. The first thing I want to say about this is that I strongly suspect that one of the reasons that Democrats are hesitant to bring the whistleblower forward to testify, even behind closed doors, is that Republicans are crazy people who cannot be trusted with sensitive information. They would immediately leave the hearing room and go tell Trump this person's identity. In fact, Trump's own son has done this already. And, of course, we already know that Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, have been informally debriefing the White House every day when the closed-door depositions are over. So not people that I would trust with sensitive information. Plus, even more importantly, there's really nothing new we can glean from that original report. There's no real reason for that whistleblower to come in and testify. Everything that was in that report, plus a whole lot more stuff, has been confirmed and corroborated by eyewitnesses, people who have testified about it under oath and in press reports. I mean, Trump's own staffers are like, he did it. So the whistleblower should come testify is just Republican nonsense, and I promise you can just ignore it. It's just noise. So that was today. Coming up on Friday, of course, is Marie Yovanovitch. Should be interesting. We expect her to provide additional details about Rudy Giuliani's nefarious, dirty tricks in Ukraine. Should be very interesting. Should be high drama in Congress on Friday. In the meantime, you know what to do. You should text IMPEACH to 97779, and we will connect you directly with your member of Congress so you can tell them how important impeachment is to you. Hello, Congress? And, of course, you can go to impeach.org, pre-register for an Impeachment Eve event. We are planning our big mass mobilization with our partners here in D.C. for the night before the final impeachment vote in the House. As soon as we know the date, we will tell you. We will say, hello, grassroots. It's time to take to the streets. And then we all will. It'll be great. It'll be really fun. And we're going to let the world know how we feel about this man. I'm not sorry to this man. He needs to be impeached. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Impeachment Daily. And I will see you tomorrow.